I'm Anthony Forrest, the president of Steel Cod, and I'm here with John Beresford, our VP of Sales, ready to discuss all things appliances. John, this one is going to be felt in the industry if you are at a management level that gets escalations, if you're in customer service, any sort of leadership position where you get these calls, is you're going to want to go up a pole when you get these. Your new appliance keeps tripping the breaker. Therefore,
Yeah.
something's wrong with the appliance, right? It couldn't be too much on the circuit. Couldn't, there's like, well, nothing else is running in the house. Is the only thing that's running. The appliance is clearly
Yep.
defective. It's this random moment that happens, and they want you to come and fix it. Holy moly, this is a painful one. Luckily, I've never dealt with this. You have several times, so I'm excited for this rant. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, I'm already getting flashbacks to those calls because this is the impossible task, right? Somebody calls up and says, just had this installed, tripping the breaker, get this thing out of my house. I wish I could go out there and fix it so I could assess the situation. They won't even let you do that. They're saying, get it out of my house, give me a new one. This is brand new. And you go through that whole story, right? But here's the truth with this thing. Sorry for everybody that doesn't believe me, but most of the time, it's not an appliance problem. It's an electrical problem, okay? Breakers trip to protect the circuit, not because something is broken, right? And the biggest thing people miss is that appliances don't draw power evenly, right? They spike, especially in the startup. So what can feel random, right? It's like, oh, it only happens sometimes. We hear that one all the time with this call too. It's usually tied to when the appliance hits a moment of high demand, right? Not when it's just running normally. And in a lot of cases, the circuit it's on wasn't really designed for that behavior. Because remember, it's a safety shutoff. So I mean, it always takes that precaution first. So yeah, this is a tough one for sure.
All right, so let's go down to the things. You mentioned the power spikes. Let's go a little more on that. So, what appliances are you going to get power spikes from most often, and why is that tripping?
So again, the highest demand isn't when the appliance is running. It's actually when it starts. Okay. So motors, compressors, heating elements, all these things, they all put more power at the startup than they do once they're up and running. So if you think about a refrigerator compressor kicking on, right? Or a microwave that's starting a cycle, that's the big one. Or a dishwasher firing up its pump and heater at the same time, that initial surge in those instances can exceed the circuit's capacity, even if it's only for a split second. And the breaker doesn't care if it's just the brief, right? It's not going to say, oh, well, let's let this slide and see where it's going to go. It doesn't work that way, right? It detects the overload and it trips. So now you get this behavior where it works fine most of the time until it kind of doesn't. But just so you know, that's not random. It's really just timing behind the whole thing.
So let's talk about, circuits are often shared. With some appliances, they need a dedicated circuit, but if it doesn't need it, then it's sharing with some appliances. So even if nothing else is on, this could still present a problem.
Yeah. I love that one, that nothing else is on. No, what that means is that nothing else is obvious to you at that point, right? But with electricity, that circuit could be feeding lights and outlets and a disposal and a microwave or part of another room. And you don't see all of that happening at once, right? So now your appliance kicks on and, it pulls a startup spike. And at that exact moment, something else is drawing just that little bit of power too, right? So now the breaker sees that combined load and then it trips. So it feels like the appliance is the problem in that situation. But in reality, it's actually sharing a lane with too many other things that you don't even know are going on.
So let's talk about, without getting too technical on this side, is the circuit capacity versus appliance demand, because that's certainly a thing.
Yeah. So obviously, I'm not an electrician, right? I've dealt with a lot of these escalation calls. So I've talked to a lot of electricians, but I am not an electrician. But the answer is a lot of times, yes, right? Every circuit has a limit, right? 15 amps, 20 amps, sometimes higher, depending on the appliance. It just depends, right? And appliances are designed with a very specific circuit expectation. Okay. The problem is, especially in older homes or just kind of poorly planned installs, more often than not, those expectations don't always match the reality of the situation. So you end up with this high demand appliance on a circuit that was never really meant to handle it. And, it could be one of these situations where it mostly works until you kind of hit the wrong moment. And that's when it trips.
So another interesting thing on this is modern appliances behave differently than older appliances did. And this kind of falls into that, oh, well, this never happened with our old appliances, and now all of a sudden this is happening. So kind of talk about
Yeah.
how this might actually feel worse with newer appliances.
Yeah. I mean, older machines were simpler, right? We talk about that all the time. They turned on, they ran, and they turned off, right? But now you've got all of this other technology that's out there that we have to keep up with, right? Variable speed motors, right? Variable literally means varied, right? So sensor driven cycles, multiple components turning on and off throughout any cycle with any appliance. So instead of one steady draw, you're getting multiple spikes throughout operations of appliances now, and that creates more opportunities to trip a breaker. On top of that, newer electrical panels are significantly more sensitive to prevent electrical fires. So the system is reacting faster and more aggressively than what people were used to in the past. And that combination can really make it feel like something's wrong when really it's really just more dynamic than anything else.
All right, so last thing on this topic in terms of things to consider, and this is another one. We're not electricians. John's not an electrician, though. Sounds like one today, is the breaker sensitivity. We're talking, and again, old breakers, almost everything got through on these. And now
Oh
with
yeah.
GFCI, AFCI, it's a little bit of a different story.
Yeah, yeah, and you hit the nail on the head. GFCI and AFCI, okay? They're not just looking for overloads, okay? They're looking for arc faults. That's the one you hear all the time now, right? Arc faults, they're looking for ground faults, they're looking for any level of irregular electrical behavior. So now you've got a system that's not just protecting um from to it's really it's careful how we go. It's protecting from unsafe patterns,
Right.
okay? And certain appliances, especially ones with motors and moisture and electronic components, they can trigger that sensitivity. So now the breaker trips, and even though the appliance isn't technically overloading the circuit, it trips and it drives people insane. I get it. But that's where things can really get confusing for people, because it's never really happened in the past. But there's a lot of variables that come into this.
So let's talk a little about that because oftentimes it is inconsistent because it might happen once at a certain time in the cycle, something like that, but then doesn't happen
Yeah.
again at that point in the cycle. It might happen, and then so it could feel random. It could feel inconsistent. Why is that?
Yeah, I think it's really because you're only seeing the outcome, right? You're not seeing like the timing behind all of it. And that's the part that matters most. And that's the part that people can't see, right? Breaker trips happen when multiple conditions are lining up, right? So you have that startup surge that we talked about. Right? We're talking another load on the circuit, right? Or a certain point in the cycle, maybe even temperature or moisture enter the equation. So one time everything, all of those variables can line up and it can trip. And then the next time, one of those things might have fallen off or just not lined up the same way and it doesn't trip. And that's why it feels random, but it's definitely not. It's just a system that's reacting to a combination of variables that you can't see that just line up the right way at a particular point in time.
So let's kind of put it together a little bit for a customer, and then if it helps salespeople explain it to a customer, which is the breaker's getting tripped. It is happening. We're not saying to the customer this is not happening. Of course, this is crazy annoying for this to be happening. So what is actually causing it?
Yeah, this part sucks. And the reason why it sucks is because you're asking the customer to kind of bear a little bit of frustration, right? Because the only way to do this, and I've learned this the hard way, is you have to start by looking at patterns, right? If it's tripping immediately every time at the same point, it actually could be an appliance issue. I've learned that. Okay. Um, you know, it could be something internal, a failing component, a consistent overload. But if it's inconsistent, like many of these are, if it happens sometimes and kind of not others, that's almost always electrical infrastructure, okay? Because you're probably unknowingly dealing with shared circuits or undersized wiring or breaker sensitivity. And this is where a lot of people go wrong because they're going to rush to go replace the appliance and the problem still occurs, because the house didn't change. Changing brands on a microwave because your old microwave isn't going to fix your problem. You still have an issue. And then what happens is these appliances mount up and you say, well, they're all terrible. They're not. Your house just wasn't equipped for it, right? So that's the hard part is trying to get a customer to work through the pattern of behavior to find out really where the issue is.
So it's one thing to get the customer through that pattern of behavior, but it's another thing to get the contractor through that pattern of behavior. Because especially on
Yeah.
a new construction or remodel where there was an electrician on it, that it's hard not to you're throwing someone else under the bus in this process. You've determined
Yep.
it's not the appliance. Sorry, it's not the appliance. It's the electrician. And now the builder's turning to you saying, Johnny, I'm sending a lot of business your way, and now you just threw my electrician under the bus, and now it's going to cost me so much more money to do this. How do you kind of massage that by keeping both parties on the up and up, or maybe you can't?
It's a tough balance, right? Because so here's the part that and you're 100% right the way that you laid that out. But isn't it funny that you have all this new wiring and stuff in the home, right? With all of this AFCI, all this kind of stuff that we were just talking about, right? You have everything in the new home. It's all brand new, right? But the appliance is brand new. And they're blaming the appliance because the appliance is the brand new thing. And they're like, well, this is brand new. So this is the thing that's obviously doing it. Well, what about all the wiring that's in your house? And what about that electrical panel? That's all brand new too. Why couldn't that be the problem? It's just so funny the way that people, place blame on things. But to answer your question between the two is the only success that you have is you have to wait out a pattern. And the pattern can show itself depending upon the level of work people are willing to put into it, right? And you're relying on a homeowner or a builder or somebody to be able to run some testing there for you, um, in order to find out what the pattern is. It can reveal itself pretty quick. It's not this long drawn out, I have to do this for 3 weeks, to figure this out. You can find out pretty quick through a couple of tests if it's constant and it's happening at the same time, at the same point, whenever this happens, like you shut off the breaker, you start all over again. If it's always happening at the same point in time, there's a really good chance that it's the appliance. And then at that point, I would take that burden off of the installer or the builder's hands. And I'd say, let's go another route with this. I don't want to swap it out with the same unit because I don't believe this is a defective unit, but maybe we go down another road with another appliance. But if it is showing inconsistencies, all right, well, it worked on Tuesday, but it didn't work on Wednesday. And, it worked Wednesday afternoon, but it didn't work Wednesday morning. Those inconsistencies, we've got an electrical problem, definitively. So now he has to go back and chase that out. Retailers are always willing to help out their trade partners, but, you have to be willing to go through the diagnosis rather than kind of chasing the symptom and saying, well, it's this and get it out of my house. Like, that's never going to be good for anybody because we're going to continually just keep chasing the same problem over and over again. So as long as somebody was willing to wait out for the diagnosis, those problems usually work themselves out.
So we try really hard on the floor to kind of set up the homeowner for success by setting the expectations for when they leave. The washer spin cycle is going to be loud. The ice dropping the ice maker is going to be loud. I know you wanted a quiet dishwasher, but when it drains into the sink, and there's nothing the dishwasher can do about that. Really setting expectations
Yeah.
so they're not leaving. There's no callbacks and that stuff. This is a tough one. It's hard to set the
It's a
expectation
tough
of,
one.
by the way, you're going to lose power when you run this appliance when you get home.
Well,
Um,
yeah,
what can
we
you
don't
do
have to
here?
do that. Well, look, appliances don't exist in isolation. You have to understand, and I think salespeople need to understand this too, is that they're actually part of an overall electrical system in these particular cases, right? And that system needs to be designed around how they actually behave, not just whether they turn on or off or anything like that. Okay. So I think from a salesperson understanding, they just need to wrap their head around that logic. So what does that all translate to, right? We have to worry about dedicated circuits for high load appliances. That's super important, right? A lot of times people try to get away with shared circuits and it's not going to work with modern appliances. You have to understand basics of startup versus running loads and what that looks like. You don't have to know exactly what the numbers are, but you have to know that the appliance is going to ask for more at the very beginning of the cycle than just once it's running. Knowing what else is on that line is paramount to everything. There shouldn't be anything else on that line. And if there is, it better be drawing a very, very little bit. Otherwise, it's not an optimal solution, right? You want to be able to always plan electrical alongside the appliance selection. That's why going to Steel COD via specs and all that kind of stuff is so important. Because if that part's ignored, the problem doesn't show up like at point of sale or anything like that. It shows up in the house once everybody's left or when they're going through final inspection. And then that's when all hell breaks loose. And then you are going to be exchanging out frantically more boxes than you care to because you're just trying to get this customer through an inspection, or you're trying to help out a builder partner that you've had to just get off the job, But you need to understand, breakers don't trip randomly, okay? They trip when a system hits a limit. And what makes it confusing is that limit isn't always about steady use. It's about moments in time. The startup spikes, the combined loads, the system sensibilities, all those things. And in most cases, the appliance, I promise you, is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. The system around it isn't. So really, to me, it's instead of asking what's wrong with the appliance, the better question in this is, what is that circuit actually handling? That's the piece that I think is most important to find out first, and then kind of work backwards from there.
And this can certainly create an opportunity to say, I'd like to talk to your builder, contractor, whoever it is that you're working with. And because lots of times, what do we circle in the specs? Dimensions. We are hyper-focused on the dimensions. And depending on the appliance package, I might say, well, the range goes there, the microwave goes there, the dishwasher goes there, and the electrician just does what the electrician does. Okay, this is what I've done every time, and it's been fine. It's worth it to take that extra step to be like, okay, I'd like to just communicate this to that person if you can let me talk to him, because we're seeing these spikes because of new changes in electrical code in your region, whatever it might be. But it allows you to build some relationships as a result of this, hopefully. We drop a new episode every day of the week, including weekends. Don't forget to rate and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.